Hello, good evening. So I'm just going to make sure that I can see your comments on my laptop. So just one moment. All right, very good. So I have got the live pulled up on my laptop to where I can interact with you guys, which, as I always say, is honestly one of my favorite parts of these go lives is just interacting with people in our group. So how are you doing? I would say that I'm doing pretty good. So I did see my doctor earlier this afternoon, and I'm progressing with my own issues. And I know you guys are kind of sort of aware of that. Nothing life threatening or anything like that. We'll just call it just taking care of myself and doing maintenance. We'll say it, we'll call it that. Let's see here. So just finished having mod pizza for supper, so that was pretty cool. And I watched the movie Charlie's Angels with Kristen Stewart in it. It came out years ago. I never watched it, but I thought, what the heck? I don't know. I'm not trying to, my own opinion is it probably wasn't the best investment of my time. But sometimes because I read so much and sometimes my eyes are tired to where I can't read a whole lot, then I'll watch a movie. But if I feel okay and I've got the energy, I prefer to read over watching movies. But yeah, honestly, an uneventful day. Kids are doing good. Noah's been eating Kona ice at school and he plans on doing that again tomorrow. So I gave him some extra money for Kona ice. And Maddie's bummed because they don't do fun stuff for the high school kids. Apparently, that's what she's telling me the last week of school. There are no bouncy castles or Kona ice at the high school. And she's like, gosh, she's like, why couldn't they have had this when I was at the middle school? She told me and her father today. And then really, other than that, I did get some time in studying from ACLS today. And there's a pre-test that people have to take to make sure they can even go through the class. And I've retained a lot of information to where I did study some to kind of brush up on some concepts. And I'm not perfect. I don't think I'll ever be perfect. But I scored 90% on it. So I'm going into the class on Saturday feeling pretty good. I still have a pretty good handle on a lot of things that I've learned over the years as a nurse. With my meds and my rhythm recognition. So I'm really happy to report that. When I saw that 90 percentile come across my computer, I'm like, yes. And the cool thing is that test also tells you what areas to kind of work on. So for me, it would be more of the treatments that we give people who have strokes in the hospital setting. It goes more into that. So I'll review that area a bit more because honestly, I'm a med-surg tele nurse. Neuro's never been my jam. I know some people love neuro, but that's never been me. I don't enjoy neuro. I'll do it if I have to, neuro checks and all that, but I just don't enjoy it. So that's it. And then the next 2 days I'm working. And then I'm off Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I'll do my ACLS on Saturday. Sunday, I'm hanging out with a lot of our Mountain Crow Tarot peeps in our group. If you believe that you want to come, feel free to bring your friends and family or whatnot with you. Just let me know a head count so that I have enough burgers and brats and so forth. And yeah, Monday, I don't have any plans, but I kind of like it like that to where it's wide open. So guys, this will be our last tarot teaching moment about an individual card. This is it. After this go live finishes tonight, we are done with all 78 cards. And if you're new to our group or you've fallen behind a little bit on watching them, don't worry about it. You can find them on Mountain Crow Tarot on YouTube, and I even have them categorized based on court cards, the suit, you name it. And I'm going to Salem in late July to a tarot conference. It's called the Witch City Tarot Conference. So I'm going to go to that with some friends. I'm looking forward to that. So I will be posting in my groups pictures of Salem. I'll probably post some videos and all that good stuff. I'm really excited to meet people who've created these tarot decks and just interact with them, like people who love tarot. So I'm really looking forward to Salem in July. Hi, Mom. I think I see your face in the corner. Welcome. How are you doing? So, if you missed it earlier, I did the Queen of Pentacles. That's in our group, and it's also downloaded on YouTube. And now we're about to go into the King of Pentacles. And I will hold him up. And as always, take in your initial impressions of the card, what you see the central figure doing, the look on his face. What is he wearing? Look at the details of his garment. Look at his feet. A little bit of his leg is poking out there. And yes, we have all of these grapes, right? And we've got greenery and flowers. You don't see a whole lot of him, right? It seems like all of this stuff is covering him and surrounding him, right? And we've got a castle in the background. We have that predominant yellow that's in use. So it's the things that we generally talk about. And then we have the bull, okay? We're seeing the bull there. And we're also seeing it on either side of his throne. We see a scepter and a pentacle. And yeah, he looks very content, you know, very sure of himself. So we're going to go ahead, and as I've been doing, it's going to be a bit of tarot story time. I'm going to go ahead and read from the books because they've been doing a really good job covering these court cards. And I pretty well compliment what they say. So we'll start off with Rachel Pollack's Tarot Wisdom, Spiritual Teachings, and Deeper Meanings. Again, this is a meaty book. I totally recommend this book and this author. You guys know that if you've been with me any amount of time, you know that I'm a big fan of Rachel Pollack, you know. And even though we recently lost her, at least we have her literature. Because she was really brilliant. And that reminds me too, we did lose Tina Turner today. When it very first came across my Facebook, my first reaction was, is this a hoax? Is this true? Because there's so much on Facebook that's not true. And then I quickly verified that yes, Tina Turner did indeed pass away. It sounds like it may have more or less been expected. It didn't go into detail other than the fact that she had been ill for some time. She passed away at her home in Switzerland. I just remember my mom got me into Tina Turner growing up. I remember being with my mom in her car, and, you know, or even at home, she would play Tina Turner. And it was really good. You know, Tina Turner had that wild, big hair and the attitude and that fierceness and the real pretty high cheekbones and those long, muscular legs. Like, even as she got older, she would rock it out and just own it. And I don't think we'll ever have another Tina Turner, just like we will never have another Prince. You know, who was both male and female, and he embodied it so well, right? And his music was so different and unique. So it's kind of a shame, right? We're losing these beautiful artists. Like, I'm a big fan of music, as I'm sure many of you guys are. So it's a bummer, you know. But, you know, at least we're left with these memories and the music, and she definitely left a mark on the world, I think. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and start reading, and I'll hold up the card here. And we'll see what Rachel has to say about the King of Pentacles. This king has truly brought his fire down to earth. He is successful, secure, with wealth and possibly honor, and he likes it that way. Unlike the Rider deck's impatient King of Wands, fire of fire, he does not seem at all uncomfortable on his throne, but leans back, fondly holding his golden pentacle. The Marcel figure also sits back relaxed, though he glances off to his left as if he spots something of interest, a bit like the King of Cups. So I'll go ahead and hold that up as she references these. I'll hold up the book here. So see, that's from the Marcel deck. Even the Visconti king rests his hand on his coin in a similar posture, which would be this one. Looks like a boy. Notice, by the way, that in the Marcel card, the king wears a hat very similar to that of the magician and the woman in strength. Perhaps the Marcel king opens to a deeper level than in other decks, which she's referencing the one card again, where he's wearing that big hat. The Shining Tribe image is the oldest in the deck, carved 20,000 years ago on a mammoth tusk and uncovered in the 20th century, which I'll hold this up. That's cool looking, but I see how that would be a confusing card, you know. It says, thus, it means to speak or share what is oldest and truest in a person's experience. The artist created the image of a goddess from geometric forms so that in this speaker abstract, concepts become real, grounded in physical experience. And then I'll hold our card back up here. Alexander the Great was the prototypical conqueror. Not only did he overcome all resistance in Egypt, Persia, and Asia Minor, he also ushered in an age of great learning and the world's first truly cosmopolitan culture, the Hellenistic, which mixed Greek and Egyptian ideas and mythologies. Hermes and the mystery cults, and thus Hermeticism itself, came from this world, so that we might think of the King of Pentacles as the patron of the entire tarot. The French romances like to describe Alexander as generous and benevolent, and indeed, there is nothing in the King of Pentacles to suggest that he hoards or keeps secret his wealth and success, which I agree with that. He is very much showing basically the culmination of his hard work between that castle that is close behind him, the grapes, all of this greenery, the flowers, his scepter, the pentacle. It's just, he's just very lavish looking, and he looks very content and comfortable. If you seek to find a benefactor for a project or to win a grant, you might visualize the King of Pentacles entering your life. This is also a good card to receive if you are looking for a job, because it can mean a friendly boss. And that was Rachel's viewpoint on that. So we're going to go ahead and go into some of the meanings here before we delve into another book to determine what Madame Pamita believed she saw with this card. So even though it's a man on the card, sex doesn't matter with tarot. So this could be, you know, a male or a female that embodies this energy. Just like with our Queen of Pentacles, a man could embody many of the attributes and the energy of the Queen of Pentacles. So keep that in mind with your readings. So basically, we have a lot of symbols here. With the bull, that is representative of Taurus. Okay, so I think of my little boy, he's a Taurus. And like growing up, my father and my brother fell under these. Generally speaking, these are people who they work hard, diligent. I would say, I don't want to say necessarily stubborn, even though they are frequently described as being stubborn. One way of looking at them would be that they have conviction. So that would be a very good descriptor. And, I don't believe that as humans that our signs completely define us. But, like for me, I'm a Pisces. I do believe some of those attributes totally fall within, like, I would say accurate descriptors of me, but it's not the full definition. I think we're way too complex, if that makes sense. And what I learned when I was researching this card is, with how bulls, they have a person out there with like a red sheet or what have you, whatever they call it, and they think that the bull gets angry from the color red. And I determined that that is not true. So the PDF that accompanies Tarot Disassembled, when I was researching this card for us tonight, the author basically said that bulls only can see shades of blue and green because they don't have the cones in their eyes to be able to see red. And they're actually peaceful animals unless they feel threatened, or if their territory feels threatened, then they will defend it. As she said within the narrative of her book, she didn't want to go in depth about how bullfighting is. She believes it to be a very cruel practice, but she did share that little bit of info about bulls, and I thought that was interesting to share. And then with the grapes, look at all of these grapes that is on the king's garment, right? Even around him, we have grapes. So when we think of grapes, so we do obviously think about the fruits of one's labor. Okay, so it's bounty, plentiful. We also think of wine. So there's a Greek god by the name of Dionysus. Well, I'm going to try to say it, Dionysus. I think I said it correctly. But he was known as a Greek god, very much enjoyed the material type things and wine drinking. It is a symbol of status. So it's not a surprise that our king is surrounded by so many beautiful purple grapes, right? And so he's holding a scepter, and it turns out the scepter would be in his right hand. And then the pentacle is actually, he's holding that in his left. So, obviously the pentacle in his left hand would be the earthly type things that we've been talking about with this suit. The scepter very much signifies his authority, as well as does his crown. So with his crown, he has roses, and then if you look closely, there are lilies there as well, which also reflects that growth and abundance. But it also shows a connection to, say, something bigger. So it is a nod to the divine. We do have that yellow coloration with the general descriptors we use with yellow: knowledge, illumination, clarity, that warmth. Again, a lot of sun card vibes, like the sun is from the major arcana. We have that with our King of Pentacles. He is also wearing armor. So if you look at this, so he would appear very comfortable, and he wouldn't appear to be like a warrior, but you can see with how he's wearing it that if he needs to defend what he has worked hard for and his family, and keep in mind this is a king, so we've got king energy, which, it could be his kingdom. So the king's kingdom is full of people who are provided for, well taken care of. If that community comes under threat, then the king will not hesitate to get up and defend it. And there is a helmet, and it's kind of a bit of a controversy if that would be his own helmet or somebody he possibly defeated to obtain that helmet. It would be easy to kind of miss that because of the black and white coloration of that. Let's see here. And then, of course, his castle is a symbol of status, you know, and is part of his bigger community. So unlike our queen, who is very much in nature and not surrounded by, say, the castle and all of this, and very simply dressed compared to the king in sharp contrast is all decked out the way he is right by his castle. I like the contrast, you know? So it's interesting, right? Both of them are generous. Of course, with the Queen of Pentacles, we are looking at more of like the nurturer, homemaker, creator. The king does not mind at all sharing the wealth that they have obtained and so forth. But you got to keep in mind, in tarot, the queens are predominantly water. All of them are. So very intuitive, introspective. Kings are a little different. You know, you got to remember it's more of a masculine energy. So you've got a little bit of that testosterone going there. So it's a bit different, right? Because we're kind of delving a bit into that masculine energy here. So... But yeah, again, not shy at all about his accomplishments. So now we're going to go and delve back into our story time with Madame Pamita's Magical Tarot, which again, this is a really cool book. If you're learning, I would say totally get it. I've been enjoying this book so far as like using it as a reference. And I will read to you about Madame Pamita's thoughts on this card. So your adventure with the King of Pentacles. On the parapet of a castle, the King of Pentacles sits on a throne carved with bull heads. His crown is covered in roses and lilies, and he holds a pentacle and a scepter. He wears a red cowl and a lush robe covered in a grape pattern. Leafy green plants and grapevines grow around him. His left leg and foot emerge from under his robes, clad in armor. I remember looking at the King of Pentacles when I was first learning the tarot and thinking that he looked almost lost under that leafy, grapey gown with just his hands and face peeping out, which I agree, that's how he looks, right? Well, the Queen of Pentacles has taken her abundance and let it flow through her by sharing it with others. The king has held onto his and is in danger of drowning in it. The King of Pentacles has accumulated so much that it is bordering on excess. When this card shows up in a reading, it's definitely a reminder to watch the balance between having enough and having too much. If you're overindulging, feeling the weight of clutter, or even hoarding, it's time to prune back and make space for the new and fresh. Donate, give away, share some of what you have gained. So that's a very valuable point. So with both the Queen and the King, with them in the upright position, they are not greedy or selfish. I would definitely say that the Queen, I think it's very accurate, is more so the creator, nurturer, homemaker, versus the king. He'll share, but he's probably thinking very logically too about the months ahead and so forth. Or if there's war looming with a neighboring kingdom and they cut off the supply routes, he may be thinking about saving, a little bit back for a rainy day. That could be some of what we're seeing as well as showing the neighboring countries that he's not king over, his power and prominence. That might be why we've got the king looking like this compared to our queen. The bull heads on his throne represent the astrological sign of Taurus and all of its characteristics. strength, ability to push through obstacles, dependability, and patience. The King of Pentacles didn't get this windfall overnight. He worked at it over time, and as a result has created an empire that will last as long as the heavy stones of his castle. The grapevines around him and on his gown represent abundance and enjoyment of the pleasures in life. The red cowl emphasizes the gratification he gets from his success. When we see the King of Pentacles in a reading, the message is that you now get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. The King has one foot emerging from his robe, and it's a little peek to let us know that under that heavy robe, he is wearing a full suit of armor. He is a warrior king and has gained what he has through winning in competitive situations. He doesn't back down. He's also prepared and protected for any challenges that come his way. He's not one that belonged, or let's see, how is it? He's not going to give an inch. His foot is resting on a helmet. Is it his helmet or one that belongs to a vanquished foe? His gold crown is covered with roses and lilies, indicating that his concerns are not just in the material world. He sees the connection between material abundance and spiritual enlightenment. So some of the symbols that we're seeing, so the armor's protection, and also means that he's on guard. Bull, possessive, industrious, but I think it is certainly more of a nod to Taurus energy. Castle, long-lasting success. Crown, divinely conferred authority. Grapevines, plenty, affluence. Helmet, preparedness, victory. King, top-down authority at the top of his game. Lilies, being given spiritual enlightenment. The parapet, long-lasting gains. Pentacle, material success, wealth. Plants, abundant growth. The red cow, experiencing the world through the senses. Robes, overabundance, excess. Roses, enjoying the world through the senses. Scepter, conquering the world. And she says that this card means a competitive and victorious leader, an established traditionalist, appreciating with the five senses, authority in the material world, and stockpiling wealth. A journal question for this card would be, what successes have I achieved? And so an affirmation would be, I am a successful and abundant leader. So that's an interesting way of looking at it from her viewpoint. So basically, when it comes to relationships, very similar to our queen, these are very steady influences. They can very much be depended upon. It's just with the queen energy, it's a bit more of a nurturer, helper. The King of Pentacles would be like the person you would call. Let's say you kind of get stuck in a situation and you need help. This would be like a neighbor or friend that you would be comfortable with calling and be like, hey, for example, my driveway, and it's not my driveway. Mine is concrete. Many of you guys will see on Sunday when you come visit me. But say if somebody has a pathway leading to their home and it's got gravel, but it got washed away, or it needs, a little bit more spread on top, right? And the person needs help. They might call up this type of energy and be like, hey, can you help me? You got a good truck and I know you're good at this type of thing and you're able to help me out or whatnot. And in exchange, I'll make you supper or something. And that person would be like, sure. Or it could be somebody where they have that material wealth, it doesn't always have to be money. It could be like resources, knowledge, experience, or what have you that they're willing to share. As far as like with a lover, like with a romantic relationship, this is somebody who's a provider, or the hunter. They're going to like make sure that their home is provided for, taken care of. the protector. They're going to defend it. With friendships, again, they're going to care about their friends and be there for their friends. With career, this could be somebody, generally, they are seen as leaders. This is somebody very accomplished, successful, knowledgeable in what they do, where people really like them and defer to them. Because again, we are talking earthly, but not all things go to money. So this is about like the accolades. These could be certifications. The way that people grow within a company by the training that they receive, or if they go to school and they get all these additional degrees that qualify them to be some sort of supervisor and they're leading people or leading corporations. This would be like your CEO energy, like somebody running a company, very, well-to-do, established, respected, right? Its position. With finances, just like our queen, their financial house is in order. This one is just not like our queen, not as much about the mentoring and the giving away of things. They would certainly share and help people out, but it's just a bit different of an energy than, say, the queen is. So now I'm going to go over our descriptors. So we have conviction, abundance, prosperity, security, ambitious, safe, patriarch, protective, provider. Let's see. Can't read my own writing there. Reliable, successful, responsible, reliable. And so with love, we're looking at somebody generous, serious, emotionally and financially secure, dependable. This is a provider. Let's see here. With career, again, successful, mentor, and think of their savings being the theoretical armor that the king is wearing underneath the robe. The savings would be the same as like the armor that's in place for a rainy day, And finances would be saving, supporting others, and indulging. So at this point in time, the hard work has been done, and our king can sit back and enjoy the fruits of their labor and be proud and content. So we definitely have that energy. So we reviewed how the bull stands for Taurus, and it's a nod to Dionysus. Okay. Let's see here. The castle standing for the master of the material realm. The crown, royal, sovereign, authority, and intellect. The flowers standing for abundance, an open spiritual nature. The scepter being a symbol of authority. The orb, you see how the top of it's round, so that's very symbolic of connection to earth, since the earth is round. So then if we go into the reversal energy, I always say if these do not resonate with you, nobody says you have to read reversals. And again, there are no hard set rules to tarot. We're generally talking about the opposite of the upright energy when we're going into reversals. So this is somebody who would actually be very not patient, wanting quick results, being kind of greedy, insecure, possessive, jealous. The reversals for him, for this energy, very much closely coincide with the reversals of the Queen of Pentacles. So when I was researching them and writing them down, I'm thinking, oh, the Queen had many of these same descriptors for the reversal. So in relationships, this is not going to be somebody that can be depended upon. They will be selfish and take care of themselves first above all others. So a lot of people won't hang around for that. Very greedy, possessive, and that stems from feeling insecure. So when the king is upright, we have somebody very confident and very, self-assured that they can make it. And he knows he's a provider, with it in reverse, the energy goes away, and then you have somebody that's just lacking the confidence, you know. With career, this is somebody where at some point, maybe they were in this upright energy and people revered them and their knowledge, based and experience. But let's say this energy made a mistake. And everybody knew about the mistake. And everybody's talking about the mistake. Then we're looking at that energy from the gossip meal and it being turned into this rather not cool thing. Then we're looking at reverse energy because it's taken away from the trust in that person, to where they see them in a different light, and that's really going to take a toll on that person's confidence, right? They're not going to be as self-assured as what the card was when it was upright. And with finances, we're looking at squandering money, not being thoughtful about it, or even just being way too like greedy with it and not sharing with people. Again, we're referencing the law of attraction. If you put out abundance, you'll get even more back. Well, the reversal energy, he's very much not sharing with other people, you know. So what we're looking at for descriptors for this would be greedy, wasteful, poor financial decisions, and possessive. So that greediness, possessiveness will be under love as far as with relationships, career, poor reputation, unsuccessful, discouraged, and finances, it can reflect loss, debt, and greed. So, yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And now we will go into our cards for comparison. I really like this one. This one shows this man. I like his beard and his hair. He has a cool look to him. And he is at home and he is surrounded by bookcases. And he's got, it looks like a wolf to me. You know, but that's his dog. And he might even have a fire going. I don't know. It looks like there might be some flames coming from a fireplace somewhere. And he looks very comfortable and happy and warm and just enjoying his home. This is very much that abundant energy that we're talking about with this. I think that this little critter, this is actually a wolf, which to me ties in with that armor that we were seeing our king wear underneath this robe. I think this is symbolic that our king, his spirit animal is very much the wolf. He is the provider, the hunter. He will protect, you know, the people in his family, okay, his pack. So even though he looks handsome and approachable and warm and he's smiling, this is an indicator not to mess with this guy and not to underestimate him. So even though he's not wearing armor, that's how we can see that, right? And I see Teresa just hopped on. Welcome, Teresa. So with this one I'm about to show you, we are seeing this man. And here we've got the pentacle, and it's toward like the very core, which it's actually on the left side of his chest. So that'd be like his heart. And then in his right hand, it's showing mountains. So for me, it reflects that he overcame obstacles to obtain the things that he really wanted to obtain in life. And he looks a bit tired here. And then we have grass and we have flowers. And yeah, I mean, I'm not like totally sold on this card. Like I don't love it like I did the other one. But, you know, I can see it for what it's worth, I suppose. Now with this one, we have a crow, and he's got the crown above his head. And you remember earlier when I showed the queen from the crow deck, how it had the moon? It had a moon on that card, and it was like an eclipse. So like the sun was behind it, but then there's this moon, which was a nod to the intuition of the queen, because all the queens have their intuition. With this, we don't have that. But we do have a star, which to me is a nod toward the star card from the major arcana, as well as I think back to our hermit had a star in his lantern. Okay, and think back for a minute as to what that star meant. It was seeking that illumination, that understanding to help others, not only themselves, hope. So here we're seeing that we have that perseverance and that accomplishment and success. We have apples, okay, which if you cut down the center of an apple, you will see a pentacle, which I had referenced it earlier with these tarot teaching moments. It stands for fire, water, earth, air, and spirit. I'm getting tongue-tied. But it represents all the elements in spirit, which again is a nod to the earthly, right? And so, yeah, I love this. I've got the floral stuff here. We can see that around the crow. We've got the pentacle. And then, of course, we have just abundance, and there's grapes here. So MJ Cullinane put some grapes here, which is a nod to the Rider-Waite-Smith card. So I really, really like this. You know, even when they take it somewhere different, it's good when those symbols carry over. And then with this card, we have some of the predominant symbols, which I like. I mean, you know, look at all this. We've got our grapes, our crown with the flowers, the castle, the bull, the scepter, the armor, the big pentacle, you know. So it's really neat. And again, the book that you can like scan a QR code, it opens up, it's like 150 some pages long, and it goes into all the symbols and the meanings. So I feel like this deck really continues to contribute toward tarot. It's actually a really great resource, you know. And then I always finish things off with a card not based in the Rider-Waite-Smith to exemplify the importance of having a deck based in Rider-Waite-Smith when you're new and learning, because it can be confusing if you get a non-traditional deck that totally deviates from it, as some artists and authors do. So with this one, I love the owl. Again, the art is beautiful. And he doesn't look so happy here. And it almost looks like a cuckoo clock to me, made with a skull. There's birds on either side, and see? It is. It very much is like a cuckoo clock. And then like the bird is on top of it, just kind of like with its wings outstretched. For me, looking at this, I don't really get a whole lot from this card. It looks like he may have caught something and he's eating it, and he's like, it's in shreds. But I don't get that same feeling that we do from our OG Rider-Waite-Smith here. So that really exemplifies why it's so important to get a deck that's based on this. Even if this doesn't resonate with you, get one that's based with that Rider-Waite-Smith, right? Even though I appreciate this art on its own, I think it's detailed and beautiful, but I feel like it does this card a disservice, you know? And then I'll hold up the others so you guys can kind of see what carries over. Because you see that? You see how some of those things carry over? It makes learning it a lot easier when it carries the symbols and even the colors over. Then you've got more information to go by. Versus if you have inadequate information, it's hard to gain insight and details, right? This is my favorite, though. I love this one from my Light Seers deck. I love that picture of him. So, yeah, we did it. We did it. I am so happy. We have achieved the goal that I started off months ago when I started doing these things, of helping people so that they didn't feel so alone trying to learn tarot, and forming our group. And I felt like we've really built quite the community here, and I am really proud of it. And I'm looking at continuing to grow with you guys. So now we're going to delve into other more complex things with tarot and continue to build on our knowledge base. We'll probably look at spreads and different combinations of cards. I'll probably get a little bit more into Rachel Pollack, who's very complex with how she looks at things, but it'll be interesting to kind of make these connections to build on our insight and understanding together. So this is by no means the end of our tarot teaching moments. It will be the end for this week though, because I got to work Thursday and Friday. So no more tarot teaching moments for this week. But it was important to me, especially before the barbecue on Sunday, where we're celebrating this accomplishment. I wanted it to be a done deal, getting through all 78 of them. So we have done that. I appreciate so many people who've been consistently tuning in to these go lives. And I'm going to see if I name off a few, and if I somehow forget your name, forgive me. It's not my intention. First and foremost, my husband. He is awesome. He's like the rock of our household. Honestly, I couldn't have married anybody better. He's a good man, and he's a great father to my children. And he tunes into these go lives to where I've got him quoting information to me. It's really cool that I have such a supportive person in my life. So I really thank him. I thank my mother. My mother is raising my little niece, and I know she's got her hands full during the day, and she's taking care of her house and her flowers, and she lives alone doing all this. So she's a single parent, and she still makes the time to tune in at night and to watch my go lives and cheer me on. And she's great, and I love her. And let's see here. Oh my gosh, I want to try not to tear up. Okay, so let's see here. So I've got Jen, who's in our group, who has cheered me on about starting my small business and being a tarot reader. Oftentimes she refers to me as being like the woman that you would meet on a pathway in the woods, who would read to you on the back of a wagon. That's how she sees me. And I love that she has supported me. Her and her daughter, Aria, they're great. Let's see here. Margaret, with that Leo energy. She doesn't always tune in, because I know Miss Margaret has a lot going on, but she's always been supportive too. Let's see here. And then we have Rebecca, who's new to our group, who offers a lot of valuable insights. She's really uber supportive, and she's got such great energy to her. And of course, Honor. I've always been talking up Honor on these go lives. She's very smart when it comes to tarot. She offers valuable insights. She helped me come up with the idea of the book club and using Ruli Story's book about how to embody the energy of the cards. And I know, like, if I'm working a 12 or if I need help with something, she steps up to the plate. She's a valuable member of our group. And the list goes on and on, between all the readers who have volunteered to do readings in the group, to show off their style and how they interpret things. It's just awesome. And I cannot express enough how grateful I am for all of you. So yeah, so if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to let me know. And I hope that you all have a very restful evening, and I will see you later. Bye.